See. There I am. How is everybody? Turn on my lights.
Good. How you doing?
Good. Good.
Doing well.
We got
Did you
some new
enjoy
people here
the
today.
convention?
What's that?
Did you enjoy the convention last week? I did.
I did. I wish I had watched more of them though. I think I was there for about 60% of it, so I missed a lot. But I also am excited that they released a YouTube channel that has a playlist of everything that I might have missed. So I get to go back and watch it. So I'll definitely put that in the chat here. I'll find it as people start flowing in. So awesome. Yeah, it was great. How about you guys? Anybody else enjoy?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask one quick question and jump off so other people can talk. But I was curious about the transaction coordinator portion of it. Have you heard anything about that?
I don't have any updates on that. I think that's a future-paced thing. I would expect maybe in 2021, but because you asked the question, I will ask on my AAC meeting, which is probably 10 days from now. We go every other Monday. So we just had one this Monday. So I'll ask in my AAC meeting if there's any updates to that. I'll go ahead and post them in the Wolfpack group so that you guys know.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. All right. So let me bring up my notes here. Sorry about that. I was actually on an agent attraction call that went until literally 1 minute until 1. And I'm like, I got to teach a class. So give me 1 second here to get myself together. Let's see. All right. Ah, here it is. This is what I'm looking for. Cool. All right. And I have one more thing. All right. Well, welcome everybody, especially if this is your second time around. We are so glad to have you. I want to check my messages and just make sure no one's having a hard time getting in. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Nope. All right, it seems like, yeah, so I know this second one crept up on us quickly. So it is November 19th. It's almost Thanksgiving. So if you are just joining us, who is here a second time around? Raise of hands. Okay, cool. The reason people would be here a second time around is because we would love for you to engage and stay in this class throughout the year. So this is going to run every 8 weeks continuously. And we're going to be providing you with great coaching and great training on building a fundamental real estate business, right? Something that has a great foundation for years to come. And I've been to several different brokerages. I've been a trainer at Keller Williams. I've been a trainer at Berkshire Hathaway, you know, and in all of the brokerages I've been to, the training is pretty much the same. Door knocking, for sale by owners, like all of those types of things, but they never really cut through all of that and show you from successful agents what's actually working, right? And so that's what our goal is for this 8-week course. And let me find here. I feel like I'm disorganized. I'm really sorry, guys. Hold on 1 second here. I feel like there should be more people in here that said they were all coming. And so I'm just really concerned that they don't have a password or something like that. All right. So let me see here. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up on my screen. All right. So this is called Be the 12% Coaching. So who is here for the first time? All right, so we're about half and half. I like it. I like it. So just so you can see in the top left corner or at the bottom of your screen, this is actually being recorded. So if for some reason you should miss a class because you absolutely had no other time that you could take that appointment, this is recorded. A lot of people ask me if it's recorded. Yes, it's recorded. So, but why, does anybody remember why we called it Be the 12%? Anybody that took it the first time? Remember?
I think I remember that. I think what you said in your really cool YouTube video is
Yeah.
that it's like at the end of 2 years, only 12% of new real estate agents are still practicing.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
only 12% remain in the business after 2 years because they just didn't make it. They came into real estate thinking it was going to be a certain way. And then what they realized after they were here is it's not like that at all, right? We all came here for freedom, make our own schedule, make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when that doesn't happen, they bail, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is really just expectations, right? Like when you came, before you even came into the real estate business, before you went to school to get your license, you probably knew a real estate agent or you watched real estate agents on TV and you had an idea in your head of what real estate looks like, right? And then once you get here and you realize it's totally different, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. What am I going to do with myself, right? So first thing I want to talk about is expectations. So I heard this example a few months ago, and I continue to use it, and it actually really does apply now, especially with COVID. But I want you to imagine 2 years ago, the day before Thanksgiving, you're walking through the LaGuardia Airport in New York City. What does that feel like? What does it sound like? It's crazy, it's loud, there's people everywhere. People are stepping on your feet. People forgot their luggage, right? Someone's at the counter wanting an upgrade, right? They're all frantic, right? Just imagine the noise of that, right? Before I get in the car to go to the airport, I'm expecting that, right? It's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm mentally prepared for that type of activity, right? So let's fast forward to today, right? You go into the airport and it's kind of like a little ghost town, right? There's nobody there. It's quiet, right? So if I was expecting the empty and quiet and I got there and showed up and it was noisy and crazy, I'm going to be frustrated, right? And so it's like a lot of times when your expectations of something and then when you show up, they're totally different, you get frustrated. And to me, that's what contributes to the 88% that leave. Is I feel like their expectation is for the airport to be quiet and beautiful and piano music in the background as they get on the plane, but instead they get LaGuardia the night before Thanksgiving and they're frustrated, right? Can anybody relate to that? So this is why we're teaching this class. And so what I'd like you to do is, have a notebook ready during all of these sessions. You're going to take a lot of notes. The first thing I will say is you will need to repeat this class. If you come every single week and take notes and fully digest them and fully do the homework, you are a unicorn. But most of us are not going to be able to process it all. We're not going to be able to get it all done. And we're not going to have this foundation for our real estate business built at the end of the 8 weeks. We're going to have to re-listen again to the same messages again. There are some things that I still learn today, 15 years later, that I'm like, you know what? The first 12 times I've heard that over the past 15 years, I didn't get it, but today I did, right? And so that's why it's important to realize that we're going to repeat this, okay? So the first thing is expectations. What I'd like you to do is kind of wipe out what your expectations were of real estate, and kind of open your mind and open your heart to what I'm about to share with you today. And I'm not saying erase your goals, and I'm not saying you can't have it all. You can. You're gonna have to work really hard, but just realize that I'm going to tell you some truths today. And that's one thing I'm not afraid to do. There are people that either love me or they're like, she is not my cup of tea, right? And that's okay, because I'd rather tell you the truth and have you cut through the crap so that you can actually go make money and stay in this business. And not only do I want you to be in the 12% that stay in the business, I want you to be in the top 5% of your marketplace. And so Monica and Kelsey and Nicole and I and some of the other leaders in our group, that's what we made this course for. Now, some of you are in here and you've already been in the business 5-7 years. You're already making money and you're bringing money into your real estate business, but you're just feeling like you don't have a listing presentation. Like it's almost like you're successful in spite of your own irresponsibility and scatterbrainness, right? Like you're making money, but you want it to feel like you're a business owner and you want to feel like you have the foundation and systems to continue to grow and to get you to that next level without feeling like you're going crazy and you're going in 5 circles, right? So that's kind of the purpose for this class, is to help new agents get reality on the expectations and build a foundational business. If you're already in the business and making money, it's how to just take 2 steps back and restructure the foundation of your business so that now you can go from making, 25 transactions a year to going to 50, right? And that's okay too, right? Maybe you're an agent, you've been in the business for 3 years, you do about 10 transactions a year and your goal is to get to 25. That's okay. This class is for everyone and there are no stupid questions, all right? So just going back to expectations, when we get into the business, we have these certain expectations of what our schedule will look like, how much money we'll make, how we'll get listings. Leads are going to drop out of the sky from somewhere, right? It's all going to happen, right? And when we get here, we learn all of the different ways. Like, oh, Shanna does it this way, Jackie does it this way, Nick does it this way, Carly does it this way. And you hear all of these different ideas. And then basically what I do as a new agent is I do nothing, because I have no idea who's right and who's wrong, right? But what you can do is you can take in a lot of these tools. And what I want you to do is I want you to give yourself permission to do it your way and to just take action. So write this down. I'm going to experiment with different things. I use the word experiment instead of try, because I'm going to try different things. Try means if it didn't work, I failed, right? But with experiment, I'm going to experiment with things. I'm going to expose myself to different ways of doing business, and I'm going to grow the business my way. I'm going to give myself permission to find and create my own path. Because if I create my own path on day 1, it might not be that comfortable, right? I'm going to be hopping over tree limbs. I'm going to be, moving sticks out of the way. It's not going to be pretty. But if you keep on the same path that you've created over time, it'll become smooth, right? And we've heard before, don't recreate the wheel. Someone has done it before you, right? We've all heard that. But I'm here to just advocate for you a little bit. It's okay for you to make your own path after you've experimented with different things that have worked for other people. Okay? So not all of us graduated high school and decided we were going to become a real estate agent, right? We all have something in our background before we became a real estate agent. I myself, just so you know, this is a good opportunity to tell my story. If you don't know me, I'm Jackie Bowman. I live in Kent, Ohio, and I've been in real estate since 2004. And from the year 2000 to 2004, for 4 years, I ran an in-home childcare business. I was a preschool teacher. I have my degree in early childhood education. I taught preschoolers. And in the year 2000, I think I was 22 years old. And I decided, you know what? I'm like, I have 26 3-year-olds that I'm responsible for. And I'm getting paid like $11 an hour. And all of these parents are paying $140 a week for them to be here. And I'm sitting here going, And it was one of those things where I knew that I was the value that I was bringing to these 3-year-olds. And I immediately had that entrepreneurial thought of, well, I could do this on my own. And so in 2000, I opened my home childcare. I don't know how 4 or 5 of those children followed me, but they did, right? And I started making $150 a week per child in my own home before I even had my own kids. So what happened was once in 2002, I had my daughter, and in 2004, I had my son, and I was dealing with kids all day and all night. I was going crazy. So next time you see a stay-at-home mom, just be like, you are amazing, right? Because I was going crazy. So it's like, you know what? I just need to get out of the house. I'm going to go help a top agent with open houses. I'm going to show houses on the evenings and weekends because I got to get out of here. If I don't, I'm just going to keep buying stuff at Target, and that's not a good thing, right? So that's how I became a real estate agent. And so the reason I love teaching is because, first of all, it's in my heart and it's in my bones. But secondly, I feel like if I, with a 2-year associate's degree from a community college, came from doing home childcare and can make it this successful in real estate, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And so what I've learned over the 15 years is I've been that resource for agents, and I love the teaching and I love the coaching and I love the give back. And so this kind of fulfills both needs. But my story is that I've had an assistant that I've paid $40,000 a year on a W-2. I've had team members. I've grown a team. I've learned from that experience. I learned when I came into the business as a new young agent at the age of, I think I was 29 when I came in 2004 or something, 28. I was the youngest person in my office, and they were all threatened by me. And what happened was no one wanted to help me. I had to figure it out on my own. I had to figure it out on my own, and I was working 80 hours a week as a single mom at that point, trying to figure out this real estate gig. And what I realized after 5 years, I became a top agent in my marketplace. And at that time, in 2008, 2009, if you did 35, 45 deals a year, you were a top agent. I mean, now, of course, those numbers are way higher. But learning throughout that, all I wanted to do is make sure that other agents didn't have to go figure it out on your own. Like, why wouldn't you want to help people? Why wouldn't you want to teach people, right? So you guys are really lucky that you're in a different era in real estate where everybody's like, here's what to do, right? But now you're in an era where you're kind of overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, everybody's telling us what to do and we don't know what to do, right? To get these leads, right? So that's just my story. I wanted to give you my story. Ryan, my husband, is a broker in Ohio. He's not our broker, but he's an associate broker. We choose to be at eXp Realty because it's more beneficial for us to be here than to have our own brokerage because of the stock and the revenue share and all the resources we have. We choose to be on our own, but we love to help new agents like yourself with sharing some of our business, sharing some of our showings and things like that. So that's what we currently do. I'm a full-time coach, and then of course supporting our revenue share team. We have 187 in our group now, so that's amazing. We're blessed with that. And this coaching series starting 8 weeks ago is part of my passion because I want everyone in our revenue share group, Kelsey, Nicole, Monica, we want everyone in our revenue share group to not only be the 12%, but we want you in the top 5. And so we're here to share with you all of our secrets, what we have done, because it is in our best interest for you to succeed as well, right? So that's why I'm here. But my main goal for you today is 2 things. And by the end of the class, it'll probably be 4 things. But the first 2 are, 1, let's manage our expectations. right? Let's manage our expectations and talk about what they really are. This is a hard business. First 4 months in my business, I closed 0 deals. The first deal I closed was a $40,000 house in Akron. My first year in real estate, I closed 8 transactions, right? What you do your first year really does not have any type of effect on what your long-term success is going to be other than your mindset. And today we're going to talk a lot about mindset. My mindset was I had no plan B. I was all in on real estate in 2004. So when I started helping someone on the evening and weekends, I realized real estate is where I want to be. I gave my parents 6-week notice. They were very upset that I was closing my childcare center. My now ex-husband was very upset that I was leaving the house and going to do something much greater than me staying home, which caused me to be a single mom. And guess what? I had something to prove. That there was no plan B. If real estate doesn't work out, I'll do X, Y, Z. So the first thing would be manage your expectations of real estate and realize that maybe what you thought real estate was going to be like, I might change your mindset on that over the next 8 weeks, and that's going to be okay. And I'm going to tell you the truth, right? The second thing would be, write this down, don't have a plan B. Don't have a plan B. If you have a plan B, you are less dedicated to your plan A. If real estate is your plan A and there is a no-fail option, guess what? You're going to work a lot harder, right? And with that, not having a plan B, having a why behind that. Like, why do you need to sell real estate? Well, everybody's like, it's to make money, right? A lot of us, it is to pay our bills, right? We need money to pay our bills, okay? Well, what's beyond that? Once you make the money to pay your bills, what's beyond that? What's your bigger why? And you've heard this before. I don't need to teach you a class on finding your why or finding your big why. You all can go to YouTube and find out how to do that. Vision boards, finding your why. If you don't have that, doing the hard work of real estate is going to be double hard. I can almost bet the 88% that leave don't have a true why other than, I think I'm going to make money, right? Like, that's not a good enough why, right? So really what I want you to do is forecast, what's my 10-year goal? What's my 10-year vision? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And what do I need to do today in my real estate business to get me there, right? So again, it's, managing your expectations of real estate. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I am going to tell you it's hard. That's why 88% leave. And I'm going to tell you need a big why, and you can't have a plan B, right? And so this class, this first one, is really all about mindset and really digging into our why, where we want to be in 10 years. Where do we want to live? What do we want our free time to look like? Where are we spending our money? Where are we giving? What do our relationships look like? Paint that visualization for yourself and really dig into that, because it's really important. And I'm trying to see if I have a book that I wanted to show you. But if you want to write this down, I'm going to be teaching a business planning class on December 17th, and it's all revolving around the 12-week year. And so just so you all know, I'm charging $99 for the class, but since you're in the Wolf Pack, we're going to give you a coupon code and it's going to be $5. The reason it's $5 is I still need your information so you get all the emails and you get all the stuff. But it's going to be a $99 class and it's going to be on December 17th. I don't have the registration link yet, but I will get it to you. But it's all going to be based on the 12-week year, and it's business planning made simple. And as part of that, in the first few chapters of the 12-week year book, all they talk about is vision. And you have to visualize and feel like you already have those things, right? And be the person that makes $80,000 a year. Be that person that makes $150,000 a year. If you right now future pace yourself and you say, I'm going to be making $125,000 a year in real estate 5 years from now, what type of food would someone eat that's making $150,000 a year? Would they be eating McDonald's every day, or would they be taking care of themselves? Would they be getting up earlier? Like, what type of person do you visualize 5 years from now? And are you being that person today? What time are you waking up? How are you dressing? How are you showing up? What is your energy, right? One of the things that I've also learned a lot about is it's not truly your skill set sometimes. A lot of times it's your confidence and your energy, right? So being new in the business, a lot of us have lack of confidence of knowing the contracts. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly go out and do lead generation because, oh my gosh, what if someone actually wanted to list with me? I wouldn't have the slightest clue what to do. So they're paralyzed, right, from going out to doing that. But what I can tell you is this: people don't buy what you're selling, they buy your energy. Write that down. People don't buy what I sell, they buy my energy. If I'm coming into a conversation with energy, positivity, and confidence, I'm thinking they're going to buy into whatever I'm selling, right? Now, that comes to another question. Who in here thinks we sell houses? We're not selling houses. We're selling ourselves, and we're selling our service. That is our product. So if your product is yourself and your service, yes, you do need to know the contract. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to downplay that. Like, yes, you need to be competent, but you need to have confidence, and you have to be the person that they want to buy from first. I don't care how good you know the contract. If you can't have confidence, good energy, positivity, and you can't interact with people to influence them to use you, it's going to be hard for you to launch. So that's why this why has to be powerful enough. And that's why it's so important for you to have the proper mindset going in. Now, let's just say you don't know anything. I didn't know anything in the beginning, right? My best answer anytime I was questioned as a new agent was like, well, hey, Jackie, what if this, and this? I can't even think of a question right now that I don't have the answer to. I'll just be like, you know what, Mr. Seller, that's a great question. You know what? I'm going to ask my colleague, and I'm going to make sure I get back the right answer, and we'll get that taken care of right away. I answered him with confidence that I'm going to resolve and take care of, instead of me just saying, I don't know. I think that, right? There's a total difference in that. So really working on that mindset of, even though I don't know what I don't know, I'm going to answer with confidence. I'm going to resource and resolve, right? I'm going to be resourceful, and I'm going to resolve. So just understanding your why and having that mental confidence that I'm not going to know everything in real estate. I'm not going to keep getting ready. So then I can go find someone that needs to buy or sell. That's why we have coaches here. That's why we have mentors here. That's why we have wonderful brokers here. We've got an amazing brokerage team. We're all here to help you when you find the person. I always tell people, the minute you find someone that says, I want to meet because I want to buy, or I want to meet because I'm going to sell, call me and we'll figure out what you're going to do next. But go find some people, right? Go talk to people. So what I realized the first 5 years is I was a people person. I was out in my community. I was volunteering with the Rotary Club. I was doing all sorts of things because that was my way of building my sphere. What I didn't realize is that I should have kept track of those people on a spreadsheet or in a database, because if I would have had that my first year, I probably could have done more than 8 deals, right? What I realized after 5 years was I was naturally present in the lives of others, which then made them think of me when they thought of real estate. So if someone were to say to me, Jackie, what is the secret in being successful in real estate? that secret is when people think of real estate, they must think of me. Now, there's all different ways to do that. But what we're going to teach you over the next 8 weeks is to have a relationship-based business through your sphere first and foremost. And then we're going to add on layers of internet lead generation and other sources of leads, right? But when it comes down to it, it really is not what you know, it's who you know. And it's the who you know and the confidence they have in you that's going to cause them to call you when they need real estate, right? So that's the first thing. I just wanted to kind of set the stage of expectations. We're here to support you. Get rid of your plan B, have a vision, right? But also realize that when you've got all these things thrown at you, for sale by owners, expired listings, internet leads, open houses, I truly believe it's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your business is going to be coming from your sphere. 20% is going to be coming from those extra other sources, right? So I coach top agents all over the country, and sometimes I'll do these discovery calls. And I might be talking to an agent that does 60 deals a year, let's say. And they're spending, $1,000 a month on internet leads. They've got, all these different things that they're doing with Facebook ads, and, they're spending all of this money on things to get those external leads coming in. But what I've done is I say, okay, what I want you to do first is I want you to take a snapshot of the last 12 months of your business. And of those 60 transactions, I want you to source where the leads came from. And hands down, 99% of the time, more than half, more than 30 of the transactions came from people that they know, or they were referred by people that they know. And then my next question to them is this: well, what have you done with your database to get those 30 people to call you or refer you? And most of the time they say nothing. And I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're spending all of this money on internet and cold leads to get 50% of your business, and you're spending nothing to get this 50% of your business. I'm just wondering, what if you actually spent money on the people that you know? And you actually, instead of the people that you know just remembering you for those 30 deals, what if you expanded that to 200 people you know, or 300 people you know, and you were consistently present in their lives? I wonder how many more deals you would get than 30. And so that is the basis and the premises over this next 8 weeks. Yes, we're going to talk about listing presentations, contract to close, buyer presentations, and how to handle this business. But realize that all of us, Monica, Kelsey, Nicole, myself, the foundation of our success in our real estate business is through people we know. Gary Keller wrote the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and he several times throughout the book says your quickest and fastest way to a paycheck in the real estate industry is through people you know. So here's the question. Write this down. How can I be more present in the lives of others? How can I be more present in the lives of others? Now, here's the key. Kelsey, Nicole, Monica, myself, Shanna, other people that have been in the business a while, we all use different methods on how we're present. Like, as I get to know Shanna, I'm going to give her a little shout out. I know she doesn't have her camera on, but like, she is so thoughtful and is like, holidays, birthdays, like, she's amazing with that. I'm not so much, right? I'm more of the, hey, I'm a people person. I'm going to engage with you on social media. I love, I'm going to network a different way through my volunteering, right? Or something like that. But we all have our own way to being present in the lives of others. So what does that mean to you, right? And I always tell agents when they first come into the business, I say, well, how many people do you have? And she says, I love all that stuff. How many people do you have in your sphere, right? Well, first of all, most people don't have a database. I've coached agents that have come to me that have been in the business 8 years that do 50 to 70 transactions a year and might not have their database set together, right? That's okay, but it's not okay. What I want you to do is from the beginning. I did not have my database until year 5, and I was already doing 45 transactions a year, right? With people I know, it was always sphere-based, but I had to physically put my body at the reverse raffle at Rotary. And I was a networker. My KW office, I won the award for being the networking queen, right? Like that was my way of being present in the lives of others. And one day at Rotary, sitting at the breakfast table, and we were talking about low interest rates. This was in 2010. So I'm 6 years in the business almost, or 2009. And they're talking about all of the foreclosures and all of the loans that are going upside down, and that all of these people put zero down, and that this is a crime that this happened. And I was like, yeah. I said, last year when I sold homes, there were first-time home buyers that were getting zero down, and they were getting grants. They were getting like $3,000 back at closing. And this one older gentleman looks at me. He goes, oh, I forgot you were a realtor. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I've been coming to breakfast at 7 a.m. for 5 freaking years, and you don't remember I'm a realtor, right? And that's the first thing that went into my head. But then I realized that's my fault. And that was the day I put my database together. Because how could I spend time with these people as Jackie Bowman and being a giver and a volunteer and donating and doing all of the duties I thought I needed to do to, not just get business. That's part of who I am. If you know who I am, that's who I am. But what I realized is I can't just assume people are going to remember I'm a real estate agent. And so I had to get my database together. So start out with 50 names minimum. Within your first 12 months, I'd love for you to have 100 to 150 names. In 2015, 70 transactions came from a database of 330, to give you kind of a scenario. And I mailed them 4 times a year. It wasn't like I mailed them every single month, right? So I'm going to give you some ideas. I know Kelsey's going to give you ideas. Nicole's going to give you ideas. What I want you to know is that it's consistency over time, right? And so I got my database together, and the minute I did that, my business started to grow, right? Now, I wish back in the day, I had someone to help me and teach me how to get leverage, because I think if I would have had leverage earlier on, I would have grown my business a lot faster. Teams were not a big thing back then, right? In 2013, I was at a brokerage and I asked to grow a team, and they said, yeah, we'll give you a reduced amount, but your second and third agent, they'll be at 50-50 until otherwise, right? There was no team building in 2013. Still, Keller Williams was the only model that did that. Now in 2020, everybody has teams, right? So it allows us to go from 70 units to 150 units, right? We didn't have those options or opportunities back today, right? Makes me feel old, actually, talking about it that way. But so I would say the third thing I want you to get out of this is build my database. Build my database and my relationship-based business. That is where 80% of your business is going to come from. Even if you're spending money on internet leads, even if you're going the other direction, right? So before I move on, I know we covered a little bit of expectations. We covered a little bit about having a vision and not having a plan B. We talked about 80% of your energy and effort going into your database, and that's the foundation that we're trying to build. And we're going to build that relationship-based business, right? How we're going to be present in the lives of others is what we're going to focus on. So any questions thus far? Because I know I've covered a lot and I've been talking a lot, and I'd love to hear from you. There's no dumb questions. So just let me know before we move into the next thing. Any feedback? Renee, go ahead.
I have a question. So your mailings, were those for standard business mailings a year, or did you also do other mailings like personal cards and things like that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, and in the year that I did the 70 transactions and had 330, from I would say 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, probably for like 7 years, the 4 mailings a year I did were the sports magnets and the calendars. So Cleveland Indians in my area, it's Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavs, Browns. But then of course I had to split, and sometimes I had to give out Steelers because they would let me know.
So in our area, if we give out Cardinals and
Yes.
Blues, we would have a much greater return then.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to go there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. No. So, and I'm not a big sports fan. As you can see, I'm like, I barely got her joke because I'm like, I don't care about sports. But other people do. And out of the 330 people I mail, 50 of them probably throw it away. I don't care. The other 270, 280, they're going to keep it. I'm not good at math either, math or sports. But like, they're going to keep it on their fridge. And so I'm present every time they freaking open the fridge. Right? And so at the end of the year with our Christmas cards, we insert an annual calendar, the ones that little tear off ones that every month you tear off one of the calendars. That's going to be on there all year long. So the calendar one might go in the office, the sports one might go on the fridge, or the sports one might go in the man cave, and the calendar might go in the fridge. I don't really care. But our face is going to be on their fridge. What's really interesting is the past few years with our Christmas cards, like I'll send Christmas cards to other real estate agents at other brokerages, and we'll go over to their house and they'll have our magnet on their fridge, and they're a realtor, and that's kind of funny. But I will say that's one thing I've never stopped. But since then, I've added 2 from 2016, 2017 on, the past 4 years. We've added 2 those by doing personal send out cards. And we're going to talk a lot about that in a little bit, and other different things. But those are the 4 mailings I did a year. They were a magnet of some sort. Okay. Because sports is such a crap show right now because of COVID and politics and everything else, what we decided to send out this year was there's an emergency phone number magnet that they sell. To basically, you can put in there all your family members that live in the home, what medications they're on, and then emergency numbers, like if something were to happen, these are the people you call. It's also good for people that have young children, for babysitters, that kind of thing. But it's just a magnet that they fill out with a Sharpie, and then they keep on their fridge, and your face is at the top. So it's, I order from House of Magnets. If you're taking notes, it's houseofmagnets.com. That's where we order. And so 4 magnets a year. If you come up with something else that's something that they can keep and utilize, and you want to send that out, that's fine, but just be consistent with it. I think it was back in probably 2012 or 2013, I didn't send out the football schedules because I was like, I never got feedback on them. I'm like, do these people even use these things? And then I got like 20 calls. Are you sending the schedule? You know, yeah, I guess I have to. Right? So just know it works even though you think it's not working, right? So being present in the lives of others. Good question. Anybody else? Hopefully my answers won't be as long-winded. All right.
So Jackie, it's
Yeah,
Dave.
go ahead, David.
I'm running into this little problem, and I don't quite know how to solve it. You know, I've worked in software development for 40 plus years, and I know a lot of people. They're all on LinkedIn. We've had great situations together. But I don't know how I go about getting their phone numbers and their emails from them to put into like KV Core. So do I just blast them a note and say, hey, I'd like to include you in my sphere of interest? How about that? I don't know how to do that.
Okay. So David, are these people that are in your marketplace that could possibly buy or sell from you?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Perfect. Okay. So, hey, you know, I have a little formula in my head about how I go about engaging with people on social media. So I always do a compliment, and then I do a a feel good, and then I do the ask. I end with an open-ended question, right? And this
Mhm.
is going to be a closed question because you really just want their address, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would say, hey, David, I just read the last article you posted. It was actually really interesting. I'm glad you posted it. I liked the part about XYZ. By the way, I have a little something I'd like to send you in the mail. Would you mind sharing with me your address?
Got it.
Okay. Does that answer that?
That answers that. Thank you.
I would say that I'm more of a fan, and this is personal preference, I'm more of a fan of the snail mail than I am an auto email. However, I'm learning to be open-minded about KV Core. And I'm learning that if I do put my personal database into KV Core and they get a monthly market update, the problem is a lot of times those are not valid. Like I'm on somebody's KV Core email list. I think I had Nicole Ward add me in the beginning so I could see what our people were getting. And they were like, yeah, based on the sales in your neighborhood, it looks like your home value is this. And it would say, oh, you know, your home value is 250. And in my head, I'm like, no, it's not. It's at least 300. Like this thing is not right. So I was
Right.
like, you know what? I don't know if I want to send that, but I am being a little more open-minded about it. Right. So here's the thing. If you do business with your, let's say your insurance agent, you pay your homeowners and your car insurance through your insurance agent. Does anybody get those auto emails like from State Farm or Allstate? Like have a happy Thanksgiving, have a blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. To me, if I'm sending that junk to people that I'm close to, I almost feel like it might do me more damage than if I just sent something of value or something personal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I know
yes.
Monica's going to talk a little bit more about that. So I will say, I don't think the auto email thing is wrong. It's just not something I've gravitated to. And that could be my own head trash as a coach. I'm just saying it could be my own problem. I don't know if anybody else on here who's been in the business a while wants to chime in and give their opinion. That's okay. But I send out the magnets and then I do personal send out cards and personal things that I send to their home address. To this day, Ryan and I have never sent auto emails.
I've
But-
actually invested in the magnets, and that's why I had the question,
Mhm.
because it's like, well, Facebook, I don't really get to see all that information. So how do I ask? I appreciate that. I think I know
Yep.
how to ask now. And I
Yeah.
do want it to be much more personal. I want to go by snail mail. I want my mug up on that
On the
refrigerator.
fridge, right?
Yeah, I want to build that relationship with them. And
Right.
God, I'm a software developer. I'm totally introverted. So this is an eye-opening experience for
And
me.
honestly, if you do like a like let's just say your insurance agent sent you a sports magnet. Where do you live? Toledo?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati? Okay.
Yep.
So let's just say you get a Bengals magnet with a handwritten note from your insurance guy, like, hey, I have no idea what the Bengals are going to do this year, but I thought you could use the magnet for your fridge anyway. I really appreciate your business. Handwritten, and it's on a State Farm Post-it. He just puts it on there and puts it in the mail to you.
Gotcha.
That-
Great. Thank you.
And the happy Thanksgiving email, right? Yeah, perfect. Good questions. Good questions. I love it. All right. So we're going to take a little 10-minute break. We're going to come back at 2, get a drink, use the restroom. But what I want you to do during that break is I do a little workshop time. And sometimes in class, I'm going to have you apply some of the things that we've learned. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down, if you have a database, how many people are in the database, and then maybe a goal for by the end of this 8-week course, how many people you will have in your database. So if right now you have 0, that's okay. By the end of the 8 weeks, you're going to have 80, 10 a week, right? Write down a goal of that. And then the second part of that is how are we going to find the people? And we're going to talk about that when we get back. So what I want you to do is brainstorm how you think you could find the 80 people or find the 200. Like if you're already in the business and you have 110, I want you to have 250 by the end of the 8 weeks. How are you going to find those other ones, right? How am I going to grow to that? So just write down some ideas of, where you are, where you want to be at the end of the 8 weeks, and how you think you might do that. And then I'll share with you guys some other ideas on that. Okay. So we'll be back right at 2 o'clock or in 10 minutes. I don't know what time zone you're in, but we're going to be back in 10 minutes. We're going to talk about that. Second half of the class, I've got a video from Kelsey talking about mindset. I've got a video from Nicole. She's going to talk about that. We're going to talk about for sale by owners, expireds, internet lead conversion. So we've got a jam-packed second hour as well. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Okay. Any other questions you can put in the chat as well, and I'll answer them in 10 minutes. See ya. All right, we're going to get started in just about 1 minute. So if you all want to start coming back into the Zoom room, that would be great. Okay. Perfect. All right. So it's 2 o'clock. We're going to just give another second here. Hopefully you all had a little break and wrote down how many names you have now and how many names you plan on having. And by the way, KV Core is a great place to put your people. Just make sure that you turn all automations off before you import anybody. I'll repeat that. Turn all automations and everything off before you import anybody. Go ahead, Dave. You have something to say there.
Yeah, I actually used my wife and my daughter as guinea pigs with all that automation. And by the 4th week, they were like, you just got to turn that off, Dad.
Turn it off. You do
I just
not
do
want
not
to
want to get emails like that.
You do not want to send that stuff to your people.
Yep.
Right. So that's literally why I haven't used KV Core yet. But I will say this, for the many, many years that I've been mailing those things and keeping my database, I just keep them in a Google spreadsheet. Everybody has the question, what's the best CRM out there? The one that you use. And I use a Google spreadsheet and it works. We get business. So don't overthink that you need this big system. You just need a place to put names, addresses, phone numbers, right? Exactly. Like Jared just said, those are mainly built for the cold call type leads that you get on the internet. Absolutely. Is it okay to completely over follow up with an internet lead? Absolutely. Is it okay to pound on the people that know, love, and trust you? No, it's not. I think it breaks that relationship, right? Like, I can't believe that David's sending me this crap, right? Right. So just be aware of that. That's because I'm so relationship based, it's hard for me to understand why I would want to use KV Core. But I also don't want to knock KV Core because it's great for internet leads, and that's exactly what it was built for, right? Is there a way you can use KV Core with your personal database? Probably. And that's what I'm open-minded to learning now, right? So if y'all want to teach me something, let me know how it's working out for you. But the one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was that database list. Once you get your list together, what are the best growth activities you can do for your business? So I like to replace certain words in our industry because I think after a while, they become scary and they become a term that we don't like to use. And for me, the term is prospecting. Like, because I'm a relationship-based person, I'm not prospecting my family and friends. Like, that is not what I want to do. That's a mixed message for me. So I like to use the word growth activity. Now that I have this list of 200 people that know, love, and trust me, what is the best activity I could do with these people to help me grow my business? What's the best growth activity I could do? So for David, a great growth activity for him would be, I send 5 private messages a day on LinkedIn. I read some of the articles they post. I compliment them. I ask them how their business is doing, and I just start conversation. Because when he's in conversation with people that he knows and they love and trust him and they're growing, he's deepening the relationship. So a growth activity for David would be deepen my relationships with people on LinkedIn as David, not as a realtor. Like, I wish I had a hat I could put on, but I don't. But I don't want you to put your realtor hat on and build the relationship. I want you to take that off and build your relationship as David, because people want to do business with people they know, love, and trust. Send out cards, things like that, right?
And to back that up, that's the relationship I had with them when we did software development together. I was David. I was a software developer. I wasn't this real estate person.
Right.
So I love that advice. Thank you very much.
Yes. So when we say talk to your people, talk to your database, people freeze because they're like, well, I don't want to sell to the people at my church. I don't want to sell to my family and friends. Well, ultimately, you want to sell their homes someday, right? So I want you to write this down when we talk about growth activities. I think that's what, number 4 or number 5, I don't know. Growth activities are going to be different for each and every one of us based on our database and who we are. I'm not a LinkedIn person. I'm not a software developer. I came from home childcare. Like, all my people are on Facebook. I'm 43. Like, that's where my people are at, right? So that's where I'm going to contribute, and that's where I'm going to have conversations, and that's where I'm going to make deposits and do my growth activity, right? So the first thing I want to do is love on my people. I want them to love me. I want to love on them, and I want to gain that trust in that relationship. That's great and all. I did that at Rotary. They loved me. They trusted me. But did they know I was competent enough to be their realtor? That's the question. So the magic is, how do I make deposits and get people to know, love, and trust me on a consistent basis? But the second part of that is what most real estate companies forget to teach you, and most agents forget to do, is to validate yourself as a competent real estate agent. Well, the first question, everybody, is, well, how do I validate myself as a competent agent if I'm brand new? We're going to get to that. But for example, if you have someone that you know, love, and trust, and they happen to be an attorney, and you need an attorney for a specific thing, you need them to somehow validate to you that they're going to be able to service you, right? For whatever you're hiring them for, right? Well, the fact of the matter is you want to make sure that they rely upon you as the resource for real estate. Oh, thanks, Renee. You want to make sure that you are validated as a real estate agent. So how do you do that as a new agent? So there's a few different tips I'm going to give you and things that you can do as part of your growth activities. So what I advise agents that I personally coach to do, whether they're brand new in the business or whether they've been in the business 10 years, you need to validate yourself as the resource for real estate information. I'm the resource for real estate information in my neighborhood and within my sphere. And the way I do that is Ryan and I, we post what we call market updates on Facebook. So we'll go on to Facebook. Hey guys, this is Ryan and Jackie Bowman. We're going to give you the quick market statistics in these 5 communities surrounding us, which is our main market area. Last week we had X amount of new listings. This week we had X amount of pendings, and we had this many close, right? Which is actually increased numbers from the month before, right? So you could do this once a month. You can do it once a week, right? But what that does is, even as a new agent, you can pull those numbers directly from the MLS. And what it does is it just validates you as being knowledgeable in the real estate market, right? Questions, comments on that one?
So, Jackie, I guess to do that, so you said you kind of picked 5 areas. Cincinnati is just a conglomerate of probably
A lot of areas.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
so
where you live too.
You could do if your people, my 300 people, are in these 5 communities that I've chosen, because most of them came from Rotary in one city. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
for me, it makes sense for me to do 5. It may make sense for you to do 10, and you can just rattle them off. You know,
Gotcha.
this area, this area, this area, this area, and this area. There were 300 listings active last week. We're down to 220.
Okay.
And we only got 10 new listings. So inventory is still low, right?
I like that.
So whatever you think would appeal to your masses, that's what you're going to do. Okay. So that's just one suggestion to validate yourself. Another thing to do is, once you get your 200 names or your 50 names, there are going to be people that rise to the top, right? You always hear the cream rises to the top, right? Like, there are going to be people that are closest to you, that are most likely use for you. And you can call it your top 25, you can call it your top 50, but looking up on the tax record and getting their home address and actually doing a market report for them on just their neighborhood is brilliant. You just do a little snapshot in the MLS of their neighborhood, the little one-line report that shows everything that's sold in 2020. And you just print that out and you handwrite on it and fold it up. Hey, I just thought I'd let you know what was going on in your neighborhood. It looks like property values are up. And I just wanted to send this to you, right? So now you've added the layer of they know, love, and trust me. And, oh my gosh, Jared knows my neighborhood. David knows my neighborhood, right? So any question about you being capable of servicing them, I'm not going to say you're going to convince them with one letter of their neighborhood, right? But it does move you towards that validation, right? Another thing that can help you validate is KV Core doing social media posts of other people's listings in EXP. So if you're in the Toledo area, you look up any listing listed by any EXP agent in Toledo, or if you're in Cincinnati, find listings that you would have loved to list yourself, or areas that you would love to work in, or price ranges that you'd love to work in. And you do a post. Hey, check out this wonderful buy in Talmadge, right? Or Cincinnati, or whatever city it is. Love the bathroom in this one. Check it out. And you post that KV Core thing. And it does two things. First of all, it's going to get you some cold leads, right? Whether you wanted them or not, you're going to get leads. The second thing it does is the people that know, love, and trust you that are scrolling through your feed, they think that's your listing when it's not. Okay? Because it's just like a billboard. It's just going through their news feed, right? So these are some things as new agents you can do to validate yourself in the industry with your people. So again, it's two main points. Know, love, and trust me, and be confident that I can service you, or be confident that you can refer me to your family and friends. What are some of those things that we can do without calling them and saying, hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate? Nobody wants to cold call their family and friends and ask them for leads. I'm sorry, if you were trained that way at other companies, that's what they tell you to do. They tell you to call the people you know, love, and trust, break that love and trust by saying, hey, Renee, hi, I didn't really call to see how you were doing. What I really needed to do is today for my business, I needed to call everybody I know and beg them for leads. I just didn't know if you had anybody you knew that could buy, sell, or invest in real estate today. Oh, well, could you do me a favor? Could you think about that really hard and let me know? There's no way in heck I'm doing that with my people. Sorry, not happening, right? Is there, go ahead, Renee. Yeah.
So I spent quite a bit of time with a broker that taught that way. And I finally went into her office and I said, listen, this is who I am. You need to work with who I am. And so what it is that you're saying is so ideal, but it took so long to get there. I lost many, many years. And so I love my kids and I love everything that they do. So they were in the marching band. So I was involved in the marching band and I was on the board of the marching band and I was friends with all the marching band parents. And it wasn't because I was trying to be their buddy because of my business. I literally just am that person like, oh my gosh, you need a meal because you're sick and you needed this and we need to coordinate a meal plan. We need to anything. And then when Bingo with the Band came up, I spent $50 and threw my name up there. And then I'd wear my real estate shirt when I would be volunteering. That was it. And that's where a lot of my business came from. And we're not talking about a lot of people. So right. I totally understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not that fake person. There's farmers and there's hunters. I'm a plant a seed kind of a person and watch it grow slowly. I'm not going to go out and shoot it and kill it. So that's, but it does take a little bit of time. Yeah.
It does take a little bit more time. And you're Renee, right? And they love Renee. and you just happened to also be a realtor when they needed one.
Yeah.
You just happened to be a realtor when their niece and nephew just got engaged and she overheard that they were going to open houses. Oh my gosh, you've got to call Renee. She's the greatest person and she's an awesome realtor. They need to know that you're an awesome realtor by the market updates, like certain things you do without you directly asking them for leads. They're going to give them to you if they know, love, and trust you. They know your why and they want you to succeed. That's another thing. Like if you've got goals and you put those out there on Facebook or whatever, like, hey, my goal, you know, I helped out 25 families this year. My goal is to help out 50 in 2021. Thank you to all my family and friends who've referred me thus far. I appreciate you and love you. And if I hit my goal, you know, I'm going to sign up my kid for horse lessons or whatever, right? Like you can do whatever you want. But so the people that know, love, and trust you, they want to know you're competent to refer as well, right? But also if you share them, that's just another layer you can add on to that without directly asking for the business. However, I have coached people before that are like, I'm completely out of listings. I have no sales, like I'm desperate. And they're like, hey, times have been tough with COVID and this and that and the other thing. I'm just being very vulnerable. Renee, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell? Because I actually, you know, I haven't had a closing in 2 months. That's a different ask because you're asking family and friends, and that has actually worked for people. And they're not lying. It's because they were actually out of business, right? So I'm not saying don't ever ask, because you always hear ask for the business, ask for the business. I'm not saying that it doesn't work for some. It's just not the way I'm going to do it. And I don't think it works for most. I don't think people are really receptive to that. But like I said, there's plenty of agents out there. They call their database once a quarter asking for business. And I don't know, it would, to me, if my insurance agent did that to me, I would never answer his call. I just wouldn't. And especially if he was a friend of mine, I'd be ticked, right? So just trying to teach you some other things that work. This stuff works. You just have to be consistent at it and be your authentic self, right? Perfect. Okay. Any other, let's see what I was taking notes to make sure. So make sure that you love on your people and then validate yourself as an agent, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to introduce you to Kelsey. She's got it's just a 2-minute video. She was still pregnant when she made this video, but I'm going to use it every time around. She's had her baby since then, and Andy's on the call too. They have a new little baby boy, and Cooper. And so I don't want to say how old he is, maybe 6 weeks. I don't know. But they're just adorable. And I just want you to see and hear this from Kelsey. She is, I think, 4 going on 5 years in the business, maybe a little bit over 4. And I'm going to share my computer sound and I'm going to play her video.
So I just wanted to record something for you guys to watch on my kind of take and opinion on mindset. I believe that mindset is probably one of the most important things that you can possibly train yourself in from the very beginning to be able to control your mindset. And it's also one of the hardest things to control in your business. So when I think about my mindset, I know that there are times in the past 5 years, 4 years, that it has really, really been crazy high. It's amazing. My mindset's awesome. I'm really on everything. And then there's also times when I'm like down in like the gutters. I feel like it's horrible. And, you know, you just kind of get in the rut of, you know, looking at the negative parts of situations. So one thing that I will tell you is that when you are working on your mindset and you're thinking about, you know, how to train yourself in that aspect, what the best thing you can do is, in my opinion anyway, is to have some sort of a routine, something that's going to pull you out of whatever is happening, whatever is making you feel negative, whatever is getting you down, and just completely re-trigger yourself to get back into having that positive mindset. And the reason that it's so important is because if you don't have that positive mindset and you're not constantly trying to wire yourself that way, you're gonna find that you focus on the negative and you're not able to get out of it as quickly, which means it's gonna hurt your business longer term. So, you know, you're always gonna have struggles, you're always gonna have things in your life that you're going through that will bring you down. But at the end of the day, being able to pull yourself out of it and having something that will trigger yourself, whether it be, I'm gonna go get my nails done, you know, or whether it be that you have a half an hour every morning that you journal, or you have something specific that you do consistently that's always going to start you off with a positive mindset for that day. It is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself, really, more than anything else, to be able to build your business. And I will tell you, the beginning is the hardest, because that's also when you're working your butt off, you're doing everything everyone's telling you to do, and you don't see immediate results. And so it's really hard to believe in what everyone's telling you when you're not seeing the results right away. That's the best time to train yourself with your mindset to be able to believe that what you're doing will get results and what you're doing is the right thing to do. Just have faith and keep going. So that's my own little thing on mindset. Hope you guys love the training that Jackie's putting on, and I will see you guys in a few weeks. See ya.
Okay, cool. So yeah, one of the things that she's referring to in the video is, I just remember first year in real estate, you know, how many people I thought were going to buy that didn't buy, or I had a deal that came together and then it fell apart. And that also contributes to the retention of the 12%. Like, this is not for the weak, right? Like, if someone asked me to go into an emergency or in a surgical room and watch someone like get open heart surgery or brain surgery or something, like, there's no way that I can do that. Like, I'm a realtor, right? But I will also say there are a lot of brain surgeons that could not handle what we go through as real estate agents. And that is exactly what Kelsey's talking about. It is a definite test on your mindset. And so really keeping brushed up on that, and joining a tribe like this and just sharing yourself and your soul with other people that are on the same page as you. There's so many things in this business. I tell people, you know, you could make $30,000 in one day in real estate, and you can lose $30,000 in one day in real estate. And they're very extreme highs and very extreme lows, right? You might think you need medication. No, it's just our industry. This is how it is, right? So just when we're setting those expectations, realize, call a friend in the business, call me, Kelsey, Monica, when you have something that just fell apart. I know in the very beginning, I told both Kelsey and Nicole, I said, if you're not crying at least 2 or 3 times a month, you're not doing enough business. Like, that's part of the game, right? I mean, maybe it's because I'm a female. Maybe I cried more. I don't know. But it's just very frustrating. Get your group of people that know, love, and trust you. Go out there and love on your people and do the growth activities consistently. Like she said towards the end, you need to be consistent with that, right? And realize that even if you're not seeing the results at first, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And after time, they've seen 4 or 5 of your market updates. I mean, here's the thing with real estate, right? If I have a regular vacuum cleaner in my house, and I've had the same vacuum cleaner for 12 years, I don't need a new one. It still works. But someone comes to my door and tries to sell me one of those $2,000 rainbow vacuums. If they come into my house, even though I don't need a vacuum, they might be able to sell me one. In real estate, you can't really make a buyer or seller emerge out of your database unless they need to buy or sell. I just want you to realize that when we're talking about expectations. Jackie, I've got my 300 people. I've been talking to all of them now for 90 days and I haven't sold a thing. Well, that's because no one has had to buy or sell yet. How many of them bought or sold without you? Okay, well, there was no business there that you lost. Do y'all follow me? Like, it takes time. And then all of a sudden in April, 4 of them are going to call you and say they're ready, because you know what? It just happens to be spring and that's when people call you, right? You've got to be consistent and you're in for the long haul. So that's great. Okay. So love that from Kelsey. Just keeping that mindset. And so I also want to teach you just some terms that you're going to hear when you're taking training and when you're in real estate, and just Maybe you've been in real estate a while and you just thought a deal was a deal. You never really looked at them differently. But I want you to realize that when I talked about 50 or 60 or 80% of your business coming from relationships, we call that relationship-based business. The other 20 or 30% that we get are from people that we don't know or we didn't know previous to the transaction, and that's called transactional business, right? So you've got relationship-based business and you've got transactional business. I'm okay with the transactional business trickling in to my real estate business, but I want the foundation of that to be relational. And there's two reasons for that. The first one is it's more cost effective, right? It's not very expensive to keep in touch with your friends on LinkedIn, Facebook, send them a card, send them a magnet every now and then, and be present in their life. Much less expensive than buying internet leads, right? But it's also more effective, right? So I could spend my time trying to convince for sale by owners that they're dumb for selling on their own and that I could get them 18% more for their property, right? But if I spent that same time loving on my people, that to me is going to be more effective. Now, the counterpart to that is a for sale by owner is raising their hand right now saying, I want to sell. Well, no one in your database is raising their hand right now, right? You've already taken care of them. You've already loved on them. You've already done your market update. And you've got this for sale by owner over here raising their hand saying they'd like to sell. Well, of course, we want to go after the transactional business and experiment with some different scripts and ways that we could maybe convert a for sale by owner into a sale, right? So I'm not saying these things don't work and that you shouldn't do them. Just realize that they're not going to be as effective as that consistent long-term relationship-based business. You never know what Redfin and Zillow are going to come out with for sale by owners in the next 6 months. That whole business could be dead. And if you've put all of your eggs into the transactional baskets, internet leads, for sale by owners, expireds, things like that, those games can change all the time. And yes, in our industry, could Zillow absolutely put out a product that would maybe entice our sphere to want to use them instead of us? Maybe. But if we're in front of our people with open communication, I truly believe people will say, hey, Jackie, I saw this thing on Zillow. I was thinking of selling. I clicked on it. It said this, this, and this. I just had some questions. What would you do? If I'm in touch with my database, that's more likely what's going to happen than, well, I'm not going to call Jackie because that's going to cost me more money. This is telling me it's cheaper. I'm just going to go with that, right? There's no relationship there, right? So if you can get in front of your people, anything that comes down the line, I truly believe if 80% of your business is relationship-based, you're going to be able to send messaging to your relationship-based business to still continue to use you, right? And that's our job here at eXp as leaders, is to stay ahead of the game, figure out what's coming down the pipeline, and make sure that we communicate with our people so you can communicate with your people. Does that make sense? So just realizing the difference between relational business and transactional business. And the other reason, the second reason I love relational business, because it does take less time if you're doing it consistently over time, and it's less expensive if you're doing it consistently over time, is that when you talk to experienced agents, and you remember I told you how they ran all of their sales, and they highlight all the ones that are relational, and they highlight all the ones that are transactional. What I do is I ask them to put either a smiley face or a sad face next to the transaction. And what they found is that the transactions that didn't go very well, 9 times out of 10, they're always a transactional transaction. Why do you think that is? That sometimes the transactional business is not as smooth as the relational one.
Probably because that sense of trust isn't there that you're trying to build over time.
Right.
That's one possibility.
Right, because that person wasn't in relationship with me. They called on a house. They wanted to see the house. I just happened to be the agent that they plugged in to that role to unlock the door for them. And now when they want to write an offer, they don't really have a choice but other than writing it with me. So they did. And so then when I talk to them about the 27 things they want fixed from the home inspection and tell them, you're in a multiple offer, that's probably not a good idea, they don't trust me, right? And then my deal falls apart because I can't influence the buyer to do the right thing, right? So I just want to bring that to your awareness, that it's not only that the business is less expensive and it's more consistent and easier to get, it's more about that the transaction is actually easier as well, okay? Now you do have those tough family members and friends that are just going to be a pain in the ass, excuse me, and that's going to happen too, okay? So not all your people are going to be lovely, but I just wanted to bring that to your awareness, the difference between relational and transactional, okay? So there's a lot of training out there on for sale by owners and expireds. And I'm going to pause you guys for 1 second. Someone's trying to get in the class. All right. Also, sorry. Okay. Okay. So I was just about to go over for sale by owners and expired. So one of the things that I have experimented with over the years, because of course I had done for sale by owners in the beginning when I first got my license. And then as my relationship-based business grew, I didn't ever spend any time on them. What I realized when I came into coaching 3 years ago, I'm like, you know what? I felt like I had to, this was all my brain mindset. I felt like if I'm going to get into coaching, I'm going to have to teach these people how to go after for sale by owners, and I'm going to have to teach them how to do expired. So I probably should go do this myself so I know what the heck I'm talking about, right? So I started reading over all the scripts and everything that every brokerage has. RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, they all have the same scripts since 1985 that Tom Ferry's teaching everybody all over the country, and it's 2020, right? Well, at the time it was 2017 when I did this. And I'm like, I am not saying this to a for sale by owner. I'm just not doing it. Like, I just was like, this is not me. So I went in with my mindset and my confidence, and I'm like, okay, if I were a for sale by owner and all of these agents are calling them and talking to them with this message, what could I say and do that's different? And what could I say and do that they might actually respond to? And so I'm like, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is I am not going to call them. I am not going to interrupt their day. I'm going to text them. So what I did is I drove by the house, made sure I saw the house, because like sometimes you'll find them on Zillow as for sale by owners. You want to actually go out to the house, drive around the neighborhood, drive the house, come back, and I text the for sale by owner. Hey, Mr. For Sale by Owner, I just drove by your home. I saw that you have it for sale. I'm a real estate agent, just curious if you sold it yet. Oh, by the way, I love your landscaping. Who does your service? I'm always looking for referrals. So I asked them if their house is for sale, but I asked them about their landscaping. I broke their pattern of what other agents are doing, because they're just calling and saying, hey, I have a buyer that might be interested. Can I come preview your home? Right? What I did is I asked them to let me know who did their landscaping, right? I gave them a compliment again, and then I asked them a question that they would not hesitate to answer, because my goal with my first text is to just get them to answer me. Hey, is it a 3-bedroom with a loft, or is it a 4-bedroom? I'm just curious, right? Something that you will know that they will want to answer. Hey, it looks like you put a new deck on the back. Did you do that yourself, or did you hire that out? I'm always looking for referrals. By the way, is it wood or is it composite, right? First of all, I want to know if they exist, right? The second thing I want to do, sorry, my college daughter is now trying to FaceTime me. like, no, I'm teaching. So the next thing you want to do is after you ask that question, I right away let them know. I'm like, hey, I am a real estate agent. I promise you I will not ask you for your listing. I just say it right in a text because now I'm bringing down that wall, right? And what I'm trying to do is create a relationship with this stranger that I don't know. I'm gaining trust. I'm providing, I'm complimenting. And all I want to do, if you've ever learned about synapses and brains, right, is, hey, anytime this agent Jackie texts me, I feel good and I answer her. So I text, they answer. I text, they answer. I compliment, ask an open-ended question, they answer. I've already promised them I'm not going to ask them for their listing. I've offered them a property disclosure. Said, hey, by the way, do you have a property disclosure? If not, I'm happy to send you one, an email. Oh yeah, we already got all that from the title company. Okay, great. It's really smart of you that you called a title company. There's so much involved. You guys should have no problem selling. You guys did a great job pricing it. Even if they didn't. Like, yeah, that might be a little fib. That might be a fluff, right? But what I want to do is I want to strengthen that relationship and that synapse, right? And then at some point in my gut, I will feel an opportunity to say, hey, I don't want to interrupt your week or your dinner or anything like that. But I'm just curious, if you have another showing this week or tomorrow, would you be okay if I either came 15 minutes before that showing or 15 minutes after? I would just love to walk through your home so that I'm aware of what it looks like on the inside so that I can talk about it in the marketplace, right? And so what I did is I created my own path. Remember what we talked about in the very beginning? Yes, people have created the wheel, right? And the wheel works. Tom Ferry scripts work. But what I did is I created my own path and I trusted myself to be myself and create relationships. So then what I do is when I go and I preview the home, my whole goal is to gain trust, try to connect and click with that person, say, hey, I'm sure you already know other real estate agents, but I just brought over this folder of my information. I told you I'd never ask you for your listing, but if for some reason you decide to use a licensed realtor, even if you have a friend, I would love to be able to present to you what I could do for you just to make sure your friend does a good job. Would that be okay? Right? I mean, I'm aggressive. I know I don't seem like I am, but I am aggressive sometimes. So that's an aggressive tactic. Like, yeah, I have a friend that's in real estate. Well, clearly she doesn't have the house listed yet. I'm going for it, right? So if I come with a system and I come with my presentation, which we're going to talk about a few classes from now, and that friend comes over and has nothing because she thinks she already has the listing in the bag, guess who just took their listing? Me. Right? So that's what this is about. I will tell you that transactional business, even though I built kind of a relationship with that person, they're not going to fully trust me. The deal's going to be harder. But if I want to use those things to supplement my business, I'm cool with that. But I want to concentrate on my people, right? But I only wanted to tell you that story because agents are always looking for the script. They're looking for the answer instead of trusting themselves and creating the answer. And so here's another thing I want you to write down. Whatever activities, whatever growth activities I'm going to commit to today, can I commit to those for the next 10 years? Or will I absolutely hate my job, hate my life, hate my job, right? If I had to door knock for sale by owners for 10 years and tell them that they were dumb and lie to them and act like I had a buyer for the next 10 years, there's no way I would do that. So I want you to come up with a way that you're going to actually commit to growing your business, being yourself, that is sustainable for the next 10 years. Right? And like I said, All of these scripts are tried and true. All of the Tom Ferry scripts work. It's all a numbers game. If I call 50 people that are for sale by owners, somebody is going to be desperate enough to have me come over and list their house. It's going to happen. It's just not the path that I'm going to choose, right? And so just realize that that whole texting thing, I mean, the first time I'm actually speaking to them is when I'm in their house with my folder. It's the first time I've talked to them. And by that time, they already love me because I'm not like everybody else, right? So hopefully you've enjoyed the first class. I know we're not done yet, but expireds, same thing. I was like, okay, what am I going to do with expireds? And I'll just tell you what I did that actually worked. Is I'm like, okay, well, expireds, I don't really have phone numbers. I'm not paying for RedX because I'm not a cold caller. I'm just not going to do that. So I just took and we don't have very many of those in this marketplace, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But I'm just going to give you my real quick formula of what I did. Went to the MLS, I printed out their old listing. And I say, hey, Renee, I see that you had a house for sale for $249,900. It looks like it was up for 120 days. And it's a 3-bedroom on a cul-de-sac. I'm just shocked that it didn't sell. And this is a script from Tom Ferry. If you're open to learning about new ideas of how I could market your property and still sell it, I would love to meet with you, right? And I'm handwriting this on their thing, complimenting, right? And then asking if they'd like to meet. But here's the kicker. The second page that I send them is everything that sold from 239 to 260 in their school district while they were listed. And I circle ones. I'm like, I'm shocked this house beat you out. This doesn't make any sense. I'd love to discuss your neighborhood, your market, and maybe give you some ideas moving forward. Please call me, right? That's a pattern interrupt. Show them all the crap that sold that wasn't theirs, right? Like, I just thought differently. What could I do to get these people to feel like they need me, right? And I did it manually handwritten. Then the next one, I just sent my resume, right? So the next 4 days later, they get my resume, right? 4 days later, they just get a handwritten note, right? And then I think with my resume, I sent my bio, which we're going to talk about that, right? My bio is just about me and my family because people want to do business with people. So I'm thinking, how can I gain a relationship with these, you know? And I had people say, hey, Jackie, we actually just changed our mind. We're not selling. We just put an addition on the back. Great. They're like, you're the best though. This was great, you know? Or I had someone call me and say, hey, this was an estate. This was my mom's house. Your mail all got forwarded to me. By opening the fourth one, I already knew I was going to hire you. Just come list it. Okay. Because no one else, everybody sends out these pre-printed letters that just have the address at the top, no handwriting, nothing. And all in their 101-step marketing plan, right? That they're going to do on their house. So what I did is I created a relationship and acted, and that's not acting, but I actually cared about their house. I looked at their listing. I looked at the bay window in the living room and complimented them on that and then asked for a response, right? So it's all up here, right? And so instead of agents asking me, what's your script? With this for sale by owner, it might go this way. With this one, it might go this way. My script is I use my gut and I actually use my head and I think. And so what I'm giving you permission to do is trust yourself and think instead of looking for a script. Be yourself and just keep at it, right? So that's my spiel on for sale by owners and expired. So if you want to go that route, go for it. Same thing with internet leads. I'm not calling. Hold on one second. That's okay. I'm not calling. I'm not doing the typical things they tell you to do. You got to call an internet lead within 2 minutes, right? If you're getting KV Core leads, same thing, right? Set them up in the KV Core system, but modify those drip campaigns that are going out. How can you make them more personal, right? How can you make those more personal as they're going out? But honestly, with internet leads, it's just follow up, follow up, follow up. Let the KV Core system do that for you, right? If you're looking for resources for KV Core, I think his name is Adam Frank. He has some videos. So I'm going to type these in the chat. Hold on one second. Adam Frank. Whoops. He's at EXP. Sylvia Dana. She's at EXP. These are all on YouTube. And Shannon Hyatt. He is a Shannon. Shannon's a he. These are all probably my top 3 KV Core people. I love Sylvia. Some people, are like, oh, I can't listen to another one of her videos, right? Some people like Adam, right? Some people like Shannon. I can just say these are the top 3 people that are using KV Core for internet leads at a high level. In this course for the 12%, we're not going to teach you that, but what we can do is send you to resources if you want to do that internet lead generation. And by the way, you might need to do that to start your business and start your database if you're in an area that you haven't lived for a while. If you've just relocated there, you're going to have to do internet leads and for sale by owners and expireds to build your database, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, I've got one more video to show you. This is from Nicole. See if I can find it. Here she is. Okay, so let me share my screen, share my sound, and then see if I can, maybe it'll go to it. There we go. Can you all see my screen? Thumbs
Hey
up?
guys,
Okay.
I hope you're having a fun Jackie today. I know she's been talking a lot
Hold
about
on.
vision and mindset, and if there's
Stop that one. All right, let's try this again.
Hey guys, I hope you're having a fun first class with Jackie today. I know she's been talking a lot about vision and mindset, and if there's anything that you can take with you into the next courses, it's definitely your mindset. Being in the right frame of mind and knowing that you have to work your ass off every single day to make this a successful career is the key to making it a successful career. So I wanted to talk a little bit about lead generation, working with buyers. I'm going to be teaching a little bit about that later on in this series, but for lead generation purposes, as a new agent or an agent who's only done a few deals, everybody's like, where do I get leads? Where do I get leads? The answer to that is that leads are actually everywhere. It's about the follow-up and securing those leads and actually converting them into buyers. So some free and easy way to capture leads if you don't have any money and actually converting them into buyers is open houses. It's the number one thing that you can do to get in front of people and convert leads into buyers. The only bit of advice I can give you about open houses in the short amount of time that I have is set the appointment with the lead before they walk out the door. And what I mean for that is set your appointment for your buyer consultation to sit down with them, explain the process to them before they leave the open house. You're much more likely, I would say 80% more likely on your follow-up to convert these people into actual buyers for you. For open houses, if you don't have any listings, that's okay. Reach out to another agent at EXP in your area, see if they have any listings and hold an open house for them. Advertise for it on Facebook as much as possible for free, but spread it around. I would say about 50% of my business in the first 2 years of real estate, which has turned into more and more business as referrals come, has come from open houses. So that's going to be your key. Some other things that you can do to get in front of people and meet people, get leads, is to join some parties online if your friends have parties. So like Scentsy and Pampered Chef, any of those parties, make sure you join them and support your friends and family as they endeavor to make some sales and grow a small business. You'll find you'll have a lot more support of your own if you support other people. The last thing that I would say is even if you don't have a sphere, you know people. You can move to a brand new area and figure out a way to know people and meet people. So some farming flyers for your neighborhood, walking around, dropping them off. Also a great opportunity to run into other people who are walking around. These are postcards if you have a small marketing dollar for you to market your own neighborhood. I would say don't market another neighborhood. Try to stick close to home, in my opinion, because it costs a lot of money to market with mailers. So if you keep close to home and do the same 100 properties within your area, you're much more likely to get listings out of it. We're going to talk a lot more about this in the future, but I just wanted to jump in and say, hey, welcome to your first class. Here's some lead generation tips and ideas, and I will see you all in the future.
Very cool. So that was Nicole. And yes, farming can also work. I usually don't encourage farming right out of the gate because it is expensive. It's a long-term play. And again, if you've already done everything and invest in your sphere and invest in your database first. I mean, and I'm talking everything. You've private messaged everybody consistently. You've sent everybody something in the mail. You've been doing your market updates. Like there's nothing else that you and I agree on that you could do before you start farming. Then you can start farming, right? But farming is a long-term play and it is expensive, right? And if you don't want to spend the money, yes, you could absolutely door knock. And if you door knock and give a flyer or something of value, like let's say you ordered an extra 100 of your Bengals magnets, right? You could door knock your neighborhood and give those out, but your goal is to have conversations, and out of the 100 doors, you have notes on 20 that you created a relationship with. Does that make sense? So again, it's a different angle of farming. How can I deepen my relationships with my neighbors, not just advertise to my neighbors, right? So that would be the angle that I would take on that. So I'm going to open the last 10 minutes to questions, discussions, anything else that you would have wanted me to cover. I will share my screen right now though, and I want to just really quickly review with you where you're going to get your information. So this is in Workplace, right? And it's called Be the 12% Private Coaching Series. You should all be a part of this group. It has the weekly Zoom link on it. It has our little introductory video on it. And then anytime we share anything, we're going to put it in files, right? So Nicole actually shared in one of her classes just ideas for lead generation. So you can actually open that PDF that is going to be in there. There's a class, it was called 101 Ways to Lead Generate, right? But there's lots of ways that you can lead generate, right? And I know some of these things are going to be important in the very beginning when you've done everything you can with your database. But just know that these are in there. And then after each class, we will post the recording in there. So this was the recording from class 5, right? So class 1, if you want to rewatch this, it's going to be posted in this group. If you are not in this group, you just need to go to Workplace Chat and send me a chat and say, Jackie, I need to be added to the 12% group, and I'll add you right away. So that's your first thing. Make sure you're in the Be the 12% group in Workplace, and that's where you're going to find all of your updates. Okay. I think that's about it. But what I'd love for you to do is, have your why, really do your vision, do a vision board, put that on your list. And like I said, if you do all of the homework and you take all these notes for the 8 weeks and you get everything done, you're a unicorn. I'm not telling you not to do your homework. What I'm saying is work on your vision board. Maybe that's going to be a 2-week process for you. That's okay. But what I really want you to do is open that Google spreadsheet and start your database. Start your database. You're going to go through your phone. I have thousands of contacts in my phone. I'm just going to scroll through starting with the A's, and I'm just going to start typing first and last names in of people who I think are in my marketplace that should be in my database. Then I'm going to go through my Facebook friends and my Instagram and my LinkedIn, and I'm going to just start adding and seeing how many people I can get in that database, right? Where do you go to get your hair cut? Well, who else do you know that gets their hair cut there? Do you know anybody else in there other than the person that cuts your hair? The guy or the gal that works at the front desk? Should they be in your database, right? So just all of those people, collecting those first and last names so you can fill that out later as far as their address or their phone. I just want you to write down the names. Maybe you're just a paper person. Get out a spiral notebook and just handwrite out. My goal is for you to have 100 names out of the gate. If you're brand new, your first week, I want you to have 50. Within the first 3 months, I want you to have those 100 names, right? But ultimately, 200, 250, 300 should yield you a good 30 to 50 deals a year if you're just sending them mailings and loving on them on social media. I promise you. Okay? So just build that list and be consistent with that. All right? But the quicker you get that together, even if you have all the names written down and you only have 20 addresses, eventually you'll have 40 addresses. And then you'll have 80. And one day you'll spend 5 hours finding the rest of the addresses, messaging people, right? And fill that in, because that is your gold mine to a steady, solid foundation in real estate. Okay? All right. Any questions, comments? Did I blow
Great
your mind
information.
today? All right, cool. Thanks, Renee. Love it. All right. What I'd love for you all to do, which would be amazing, you might get like bonus points if you really do this. I'd love for you guys to get into the group. Just introduce yourself in the 12% group, what market you're in, how long you've been in the business, right? And kind of let us get to know each other. Maybe I'm going to do that as a post. That's actually what I'll do, is I'll ask the questions in the post. And if you guys would all just comment how long you've been in the business, what market area you're in. If I set it up that way, it might get done a little bit better. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay, cool. All right. So just message me on Workplace if you need to be added to the 12% group, and I'm happy to add you. Some of you I may have added, and you might have to go in your notifications and accept the invitation as well. It might not just automatically add you in. So just remember that, and we will go from there. Okay. All right. Well, you all have a good week. I believe, I keep getting my dates wrong, but I believe next week is Thanksgiving. So we do not have class next week, but we will have class on December 3rd. So Monica will be teaching on database and how to actually systematically love on your people through social media. So that's going to be a really good one. And there's a system for that. And we talk about the algorithms of LinkedIn and Facebook and what you can do to, when you post things about real estate, how to get it into the feeds of the people that are in your database and things like that without spending money. So Monica is going to cover all of that next class. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you are welcome. I will see you in a few weeks. Out of the 8 weeks, I think I'm here for 3 of the classes. So, and I wrap up at the end too. So good luck, you guys. If you guys need anything, Workplace Messenger is the best place to contact me, or Facebook. And I'll see you guys in a few weeks. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.